We're starting. What'd she say? I want to welcome you all today. This is our 7th in a signing of books and a reading from Scottie Madden, who happens to be my beloved. You want me to back up because I'm too close to the speaker and we know how this goes. Hard to move from producer to talent. This is a great reunion. I'm so glad you're all here, and I hope you'll enjoy today and stay for as long as you can. Scottie's going to be reading from a chapter of her book, and also books will be available for sale. Because we're in the modern age, we would love for you to take pictures and put them up on Scottie's Facebook page, your Facebook page, on Zuzubean. You can definitely, I'll watch my feedback. Tweet, whatever you want to do, but we'd love to see any comments from you. And if you do buy a book and read it, we hope you'll enjoy it. And definitely, please go on Amazon.com anyway and put a review there, because that really helps boost us up in the ratings. And we want ratings. Yes. So we like to think our story is a bit different. You'll be hearing more about that. And Scottie will be available for Q&A. This is our opportunity to thank everyone who has supported us all along the way. All of you people here, some of you have been supporting us in previous events. This has really been a movable feast. So we can't thank you all enough for everything that you've done, and hope that you'll be there as we get to continue to thank you. I'd like to start in this beautiful setting to also thank Tom Franco. Do you want to come up and sit with me for a sec? Tom is the daddy of these puppies and the director of the Firehouse Art Collective. So I'd love it if you could just tell people a little bit more about your reason for being, what the purpose is here, and give us a little taste of this.
Thank you, Marcy. It's great to have you guys back in the Bay Area. Yeah. And thanks for choosing my space to be here. So I've also want to thank you, Scottie, for putting on this event, writing this book, doing this. I feel like this is a story that's becoming more available to us as a group consciousness, but I still see you as a trailblazer, so congratulations and thank you. My name is Tom Franco. I'm the director of the Firehouse Art Collective, and just a little bit about what's happening in the Bay Area with the Firehouse is it's a group that very organically formed about 11 years ago, and it's for artists. Started as a group for visual artists, which I am. I'm a sculptor and a painter, and very quickly expanded into all art forms. So did I say we've been going for about 11 years? We have 6 spaces right now, 5 in Berkeley, 1 in Oakland, that cover a range of residencies for artists to have affordable living, affordable art studios, and then we do events and retail shops like that, for trying to cover all the bases of what an artist would need to be functional, to be creative. One of the more exciting facets of this is the public events. So we're sitting right now, this group, in South Berkeley, what I call the Indie Micro Mall. So it's an idea that's still fledgling and forming, how to encourage and allow people to blossom in their art and guide them, catch all the mistakes or the pitfalls that might happen, and be totally inclusive. Our whole thing is, the way I see us succeeding is just say yes to everything. Have open door, whatever comes, let it come and evolve like that. And that's how we are as a society, as a healthy society. The last thing I'll say is that it is the nature of this kind of a project is that it will always grow. It will always expand. There's no end to the creative possibilities, as there's no end to human beings and their inventions and their ideas and their aspirations and goals. So just bringing us back to this book reading today, just another aspect of us growing as a community. So, thanks.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And you've seen the book, and you see the original artwork that is the cover of the book. So we happen to finally have our amazing artist, Sally Park Rubin, with us today. And I'd love for her to talk a little bit about what inspired her. I got to hear the story, the true story, this morning for the first time, and it's pretty special. So come on up, Sal.
Hi.
You, me here, her there.
Okay. Is that because of the mic?
I think you should sit in front of your artwork.
Oh, I got it.
I don't know.
Oh.
I just, follow direction. Sometimes. So please tell us, the story you told this morning. What inspired you to do this?
Okay, so I'm Sally, and I was trained as an artist, and then life took some circuitous routes, and I got back to my painting just about a week before Scottie called and gave us the news. And I was actually upset by the news and was having a hard time adjusting to it, and decided and asked, and then she put this beautiful portrait of herself up on Facebook, and I asked if I could do a painting of that. And I selfishly did it for myself, to just kind of absorb the idea and the change, and to be able to really study her face and see it from that perspective. So that's how this painting evolved, and it was a great experience to do it, and I really I'm grateful that you let me do that, so thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. It makes a beautiful cover.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's an amazing likeness. Thank you, Sal. So, without much further ado, I'd like to introduce Scottie, Jeanette, Christine Madden to come read a chapter. But I'll probably leave, or do you want to?
Oh, I never want you to leave. Do you want to stay?
Why don't you read, and then I'll come back.
Perfect.
Just in case anybody has questions that you can't answer.
Well, first of all, I just want to thank every one of you. I know 99.9% of you in the room, and the other, whatever's left, I was told there would be no math. Welcome, and so good to meet you. And your love and support is really what I want to be the takeaway for today. What our mission was after writing the book and deciding to get it out there was to create as much noise, if you will, before Christmas about the book. So we did 2 signings in San Diego, we did 2 signings in San Jose, and Indira was at both of them. Indira was able to host one of them, which was amazing, and then we did 2 in LA, and this was all in a month and a half, 1 month and 1/2. And then, but originally what started the whole thing off was I called up Sally Joy, and I said, Sal, I want to do this. I think it's best to do something up there. What do you think? And we looked at all kinds of different ideas about what we should do, but I kept coming back to the idea that it really needed to be here because the painting was such a seminal part. And I must confess, last night was the first time that I ever saw it. I've been dealing with it in the digital form all the time. So, in fact, it completely changed what Marcy and I were going to talk about today. But Marcy convinced me, like she does with most things. She is the optimist in the family. That this is a Christmas message, even though it's not a Christmas setting. And I say that because the book, for those of you who haven't had a chance to look at it yet, follows the last year of our life. Really about 9 months. 9 months. Anyways. Wow. What I decided to do is take my journal entries and use them as a way to start, to give a form and a structure. That would make some sense as a story. I'm a professional storyteller, have been since I got out of college. I've written screenplays, I've written voiceover copy, I've written radio ads, I've written all these other things. This is my first book. But I wanted to write a book that would be readable. So that was the structure that we gave. What is significant for me personally, and the reason why coming to my home, basically, you guys, even though we have an LA area code, you're our family. I don't always have the same amount of words or the right words to describe this, and I force myself as a professional storyteller and a writer to find words that no one's used before because they can become overused and lose their meaning. But the word blossom doesn't quite say it, but I burst up out of the ground last Christmas. So this Christmas is a Christmas where I am able to step forward fully in my heels and celebrate. So personally, that's why it's amazing to be with you all today. So let me get it together so I can read. I was in the middle of what I didn't realize was going to be a career, not change, but I'm technically an executive producer in adventure reality survival television. I didn't have all that on my business card for all my career, but in the last 5 years, it really became who I was and what my resume got me as my next gig. The show that helped define my career was also one of the last ones I did, and it was called Dude, You're Screwed. I'm not making that up. It aired for 2 seasons on Discovery, and by the time I wrote the chapter that I'm about to read you, it was pretty much a done deal that we weren't going to get a 3rd season, and that we weren't going to be able to. It didn't have anything to do with our success, and it had everything to do with a sea change at the network, where it completely changed all of the upper level management of everything, and we got lost in that storm, which is unfortunate. But when you hear me say DYS or Dude, You're Screwed, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. You would think I would have this chapter marked. But I also signed my copy for David, who was about to leave, and then realized I gave him the wrong one. Hey, David, this is your book. Forgive me. And also, I realized we haven't said this out loud, that this is live streaming to the Zuzubean Press website, because I had several dear friends tell me, wow, sure wish I could be there. I'm like, great, now you can. Table of contents, that's kind of cool. Okay, this is chapter 22, Too Late to Go Back to Sleep. Now that the court says I'm me, I can go public. And I've been gearing up for the big announcement. In today's social media world, you really can go wide about anything from a baby's cold to your opinion about the next president. I've never been much of a Facebooker, preferring email or to actually talk to my family and friends. But since I can't sit down and have the chat with everyone, I'll get through the concentric circles that define my life by phone or in person, and then take to cyberspace for my far and wider universe. Instead of making a formal announcement, I'm just going to post my new profile picture and name, pictures being 1,000 words in all, and change that M to an F. Does it come in bright red? That was the plan anyway, and I had almost completed my circles, those concentric rings of family and friends that emanate outward from your sphere of influence to those who fall in the upper stratosphere, labeled, might find this of interest. My circles were my love, heart of the center, my sisters, the center, my family, brother-in-laws and family, aunts, cousins, and children, the other side of the center, close friends, around the center, tight friends, guarding the center, college friends, concerned about the center, childhood friends, like to hear about the center, business associates, outside the center, and the world as labeled. I still had a few that might be considered tight friends and one or two business associates left before I could handle the rest by text. The tightest, and probably the most critical of the tight friend circle, were the guys that I had studied TV and film with. In college, we referred to ourselves as the tag team. Like the knucklehead wrestlers on Saturday afternoon TV, we would all dogpile on everything from an instructor's challenge to a keg of beer. And we've remained very close for the last 30 years, despite living now in more than 4 different states. We stay in touch with each other through an email chain called Ski or Don't Ski, which determines, among other things, where we'll meet each year for a long weekend to ski and pretend we're all 30 years younger. Ski or Don't Ski reflects our philosophy of life. Put up or shut up. We won't judge one way or the other. Either you're on the bus or you're not. We'll catch up when we return, and we'll still love you if you don't come. Now, fair disclosure, though these guys are some of my closest friends, I haven't been on the ski trip in years. They will admit, only if pressed, that I am not only just one, but the founding member. Being the only mountain kid at a beach town university of San Diego State, I talked everyone into pooling our money and heading to Mammoth one year, and the annual event was born. Now, I also never agreed that this is and should ever be a boys-only trip. Funny that they always try to remember the past to their advantage. They're forgetting that some of us were actually there and were paying attention. This didn't become an issue until I got married. I never knew I was breaking a rule, nor would I have cared. But when my love and I were queuing up to have her come, the fit hit the shan, and I saw a side of my bros that made me queasy. I was welcome, but the girl in my life was not. What is this? When did this become the He-Man Woman Haters Club? I admit I didn't take their decrease seriously. I mean, how could I? First off, these trips ain't cheap. And as we all got older, we wanted more, bigger, better, and cooler, which made the cost of the weekend the same as if my love and I both spent a week together skiing at Mammoth. It didn't make any sense. If I was going to blow that much powder, pun intended, on seeing them, my love should come too. But here's where my tendency to see how everything could work slammed broadsided into the group mentality, and I admit I was caught up short. This started World War III, which resulted in each one of them taking turns trying to convince me of the folly of my feelings. It wasn't as simple as me not skiing. They wanted to make me change my mind and come. This was completely against our stated philosophy listed above. I couldn't do it. How was I supposed to kiss my love goodbye and have fun when she was at home wanting to be out with us? And this is a conundrum that these guys could never understand because they were looking at me as a guy. So I opted out quietly, but missed them terribly. And after a while, it festered into full-blown hurt that my protest never yielded the change. I did stay in touch with them, the ski or don't ski email chain, and tried to see them separately as the opportunities presented themselves through the years. And we remained close, despite not seeing me in winter clothing, and when any schedule in my schedule in the recent years made it possible, I'd call in from some remote part of the world by satellite phone, which only added to my legend. But the email chain gets, well, as everything boys do when they think they're alone, it gets raunchy. And that's putting it mildly. If it didn't include several homophobic jabs and at least 2 references to farting, then it would be a gross description of each other's mother. As a side note, most men allow one "your mother is" joke per man per day, but that's it. Okay? In other words, normal boy stuff. But these are the men I love, and I needed to have the chat with each one individually before they read about me on Facebook. So I began a week of calls. The first one was to my old buddy CL, or Stay Puff as he's called in the tag team, a reference to a certain thrift store parka he once rocked on the slopes. Puffer is a father of 3 college students. He's one of the 3 Angelinos who produces movies for Lifetime, and we see each other all the time. Now, I owe Puff a lot. He bought the first show I ever created, Pug and Zero, and since then we've made some great TV together. I finished telling him my news. Dead silence. Okay, he was quiet for an eternity, a master of the pregnant pause. Finally, he spoke. Wow. Well, I have 2 questions. The first may cancel out the second. So here goes. Are you punking me? No, Puffy, I am not. Okay, so secondly, are you okay? Are you happy? How can I help? This is why I love this man. Our conversation dug deeper into my past and pain and whatever, but he started what would become a common thread. Each one of the tag team would bet that the other guys would be the ones to have a problem with my coming out. Boys can be so weird. P. Daddy pledged support and love, and I signed off by asking that he keep this to himself until I had had a chance to have this same chat with every one of the other guys. He would know that it was all clear when I came out on the ski or don't ski email chain. He said he looked forward to it, and I said I look forward to reading about something other than who was going to sodomize who and whose farts stink more. I went down the list. Each man beautiful and loving, reminding me why we were all such dear friends. But I surprised myself most of all. I settled into this new role as their little sister, like a duck to water. And then it was time. Now, in each ski or don't ski email chain, the first dude to get his deposit into that year's producer to secure the condo gets first pick of the best bed. And so on, until usually only the couch is left for the last man. So I sent out the following email blast. Guys, I'm writing that I'm officially don't ski for this year. Since girls aren't allowed, count me out. Brendo, earlier in this string you asked if you could have the closet. I say take it. It's not comfortable. It reeks of old dead things. Oh, and it's just now available. I'm not using it anymore. The tease lie design, boys. Let the games begin. Love, Scottie, Jeanette, Madden. But nothing happened. And by nothing, I mean nothing gross or nasty or misogynistic happened. These guys were treating me with, wait, Was it respect? Whatever it was sweet and reassuring. Maybe there was hope for us. Being husbands and fathers had made them all grow up. The closest thing I got to the razzing I expected was Puffy's response. Scottie, just to really break the ice on the subject, will you now be riding snowmobile side saddle? Too soon? How about this? You're now subject to the glass ceiling, which means that you will only be paid 70% of what men are paid. Thank God. Now I might be able to hire you on a production. I'm sure that I speak for the group when I say that, though much has changed, nothing has changed. We would like you to be there if at all possible. Ciao, Bella. Oh, I mean, see you soon, Scottie. Love, Stay Puff. The rest of their responses were even more benign, falling into those everything's changed, we will always love you, sister category, and pledged support and admiration for courage. All right, what had I been afraid of for 45 years? I was beginning to forget. But okay, lest I act like I'm not paying attention. I mean, after all, 1,700 trans people are murdered in the last 10 years for being trans. But these are some of my close friends whose only stake in this game was losing a drinking buddy. But the next group that I had to come out to, the next concentric circle, had a dog in this fight. And that dog was me. It was on to my old boss, who might be a boss again in the future, and our livelihood and our ability to pay our bills. Oh, and a little circle all its own, known as the dudes. I've been putting off the chat with my cast with good reason. This circle wasn't just the cast of Dude, You're Screwed. They had become my family. I have to confess, I haven't fallen in love with a show this hard since I had done The Contender. This was my baby, and I poured everything I had into it, and I was really close with 3 of the cast members. Now, on paper, Tezer should be the toughest case of the 3, so he's going to be my canary in the coal mine. Tezer is an active duty master sergeant in the legendary Green Berets. We share a love for Rush, teamwork, being Irish, and old cartoons. Tezer is the manliest man I know and the biggest heart ever. He will and has laid down his life for his soldiers through tours of duty in Kosovo and Afghanistan. In his words, if something doesn't increase his lethality, it's not worth his time. I knew in my heart he would be okay, but like my other very guy friends, I was more worried that our friendship would change. After I told him, he was not only supportive, but he said, if anyone ever gives you any trouble, just let me know. So be warned. My big brother is a Green Beret. I thought I was going to get away clean, but as we were just about to hang up, he said, I will always love you. I got your 6, sister. So yes, this was getting hard. Yes, I'm being showered with love and support, but it's really heavy stuff. I've never cashed in my chips, preferring to know that I was rich without ever having to test it. This experience was giving everyone a place to come out with their true feelings about me. No one could fully understand what it meant to be me, but everyone was willing to at least try. They wouldn't let themselves off the hook with a shrug and a throwing up of their hands. They now knew someone who was transgender. I was flopping into bed each night like a dish rag drained by the tsunami of love that was pouring from the phone with each call. I wasn't able to reach the other dudes. Each was off doing some really manly stuff, so I had to resort to leaving cryptic messages. And then it was time. I couldn't hold off anymore. I loved the song Defying Gravity from Wicked. Too late for second guesses, too late to go back to sleep. It's time to trust my instincts, close my eyes, and leap. So I got dressed in a soft blue blouse. I did my hair and makeup. My love took a picture. Okay, well, 35 takes later, both with the hat and without, I get a photo worthy of a new profile picture on Facebook and a seriously peeved wife. Really? 35 takes? Really? I'm sorry, my love. The responses led to many conversations, but some of the responses came in almost instantly. Of these, my favorites were my sister Kim's reaction. I look more like Scott than you do. And my friend Val, no fair, you look 35. But the one that crushed me was the one from my sister Kira that read, that is a Judy Madden smile. Thanks, Mom. It seemed that I had inspired something in those connected to me. I guess this is how we change things for the better. Be the best example of who we are, and people will notice and be inspired to be their best example of who they are. I was staring at the responses to my new face, which was suddenly blowing up my Facebook page, when I saw one that stopped time. This was from The Grenade. This is the nickname for my dear friend and member of my Dude You're Screwed cast. Jake is a former Navy SEAL whose lust, and I do mean lust for life, is equal only to his lack of social convention. In fact, Tezer calls him the social claymore, a landmine that will go off at the most inappropriate time, which, of course, Jake wears with pride. The Grenade had just posted, I love it, lady. Now, for those of you who don't speak Jakeese, this, loosely translated, means A, the cat was so far out of the bag that she's forgotten what a bag is, and B, and more importantly, he was more than cool with it. Now, word was going to ricochet amongst the cast. I knew it was only a matter of time with Jake having this information before the cast would be read in. I hadn't even stopped reading his response when my phone rang. What's up, Scott? Now, this was always a loaded question, and with Jake, it's usually both barrels. Backing up just a sec, Jake's the kind of guy who loved knowing things and loved letting you know that he could find out anything. I really do think he still has ties to naval intelligence. After working with him for 2 years, I have to say that I always suspected that he suspected that I was actually a woman. Why do I think this? Well, last year, Kristen Beck, the Warrior Princess, came out. This former Navy SEAL made one of the most powerful statements ever when she said, I laid down my life several times for America and the promise of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I'd like a little happiness for myself now. The documentary about her first year of transition, which is called Lady Valor, premiered at the South by Southwest Film Festival. I know this because on that night, my phone rang just like it did today, with the Grenade being on it, just like he is today. And he says, guess where I am? When I heard where he was, my hair stood on end, and I immediately went to DEFCON 2. I felt the noose tighten around my neck. Why is he telling me this? He's got to know who I am. But how could he? Because he's the Grenade. He can look this stuff up. With my pulse pounding in my ears, he laughed his patented Evil Jake laugh. I told Kristen she had to stop working out if she wanted to look like a chick. Hugging her was like hugging a strong dude. That's Jake. Dichotomies up one side and down the other. Back to the present day, I'm reminding the grenade about that call as I'm coming out to him, and he explodes with laughter all over again. Over a 3-year period, my friendship with these 3 men had been forged by the fire of exhaustion, creativity, danger, and brotherhood. They accepted me as the long-haired Hollywood leftist freak, which is not something Special Forces ops like to do, whether soldier or sailor. Neither Tez nor Jake cared, nor were they surprised when it turned out that I was their sister-in-arms all along. Jake went all big brother on me too, giving me advice about dudes. Sweet, he's changed me in his mind already. Guys are weird about that shit, like this, all right? So don't worry about it. Don't waste your time on the idiots. Be careful out there. There's a lot of haters. I'm with Tez. Anyone even looks at you funny, you just let me know. How could one girl have so much love? Any fear about how I would be received by the people that mattered to me most was evaporating as fast as frost before the rising sun. I wish for everyone to know this love. And for those of you who've seen the show, that's not an exaggeration of Jake's voice. Okay, well, I would like to bring the love of my life back up here to sit.
Mackie's watching the live stream on his phone.
Oh,
It's working.
it's working?
So get
Awesome.
the spinach out of your teeth.
30,000 viewers already. Hard to believe.
Wow.
I'm not kidding.
You're such a boy.
So you want to take some questions?
Yeah. What I realized is we didn't really set any context about real history. Do you think that's necessary? How many don't know
Why you're here?
why I'm here? Well, Doug, dare I say more? Yeah, I think most everyone knows. What's that? I should? I should.
Yeah,
Well, for the
I don't know.
Okay, fine.
Okay,
All right,
okay.
fine.
Okay.
Go for it.
You can tell.
Okay.
Okay. I'm 53 years old. I knew from the time I was 4 that I should never tell anyone that it was actually a girl. I had everything in my life to reinforce the male reflection that I saw in the mirror. I was the only son. I was the only grandson on my mother's side. I was the only name bearer on my father's side. I had 3 little sisters that I adored and I cared for. And I just knew that I could never really be me. Over time, I went through a whole process of trying to bury it and deal with it. As I got further in my adult life, what I used to tell myself was, okay, look, you're not going to be able to be a woman that you are right now, this lifetime. So be the best boy ever and earn your womanhood next time. So I really tried to do that. And Marcia and I fell in love, and we've been married for 26 years.
So obviously she was pretty convincing.
Yeah, I made a good dude. I built a really good armor that protected me in life. And in the boys' world, success is really the best armor there is. So I just got successful because I'm creative and smart enough to know that if I was in charge, then I would never lead myself that as a woman I wouldn't want to go. and we would never work the way that I would want to work. But it never, the things that I did to emotionally keep myself together for my entire life was not working anymore. And 5 years ago, I came out to Marcy. But it wasn't elegant, and I didn't know what I was saying, and basically I just spilled 45 years of confusion at her feet and said, I don't know what to do. So it took us about 5 years to kind of come to this place that we came to last year. I mean, Mars said to me, I know you told me 5 years ago, I haven't done anything about it till now. But last year we decided that we would start to do something. I mean, I was doing little tiny things. For those of you who know me, saw my hair start to get longer. My ears got pierced. It was like, if I do something, I can just live for, just if I can have just a moment where I feel like I'm living for real, then I can go back to all the other stuff I have to do. And it wasn't until Marcy started to call me on the fact that what happened to the happy person I fell in love with. And she also pointed out that I never looked at myself in the mirror. I said, you're crazy. I have to shave. I have to do all this other stuff. I look at myself in the mirror all the time. She said, no, you never look at yourself in the mirror. And I realized that all of the things that I had been doing to get through life were not working anymore. And so
Here we are.
here we are.
Question.
Yes. Tom.
So you read one chapter of the book, which looked like it was about in the middle. Could you give us a little synopsis of the whole book, and if it covers? I mean, 9 months is not a long time for your lifespan. And how much are you touching on in the past? Are you projecting into the future of where you're trying to go from here, and something like that?
Do you want to repeat that? So
Yeah. So
For the live stream.
Tom was saying that one chapter was read. It felt like it was in the middle. But so for 9 months, if this really is an account of 9 months, what's the real story arc? What really is happening, and what is there some kind of glimpse into the future too, based on the book?
Thank you, Tom. That's the book, as I said, follows a linear track from last August, which was right after I was coming home from shooting the second season of Dude, You're Screwed, until last May.
Well, a year ago, August.
Sorry, a year ago August to a year ago last May. No, last May.
Yeah.
Thank you. But each journal entry, because of its significance, is only significant if I explain why. So I use that as a way to go into my past, and I'll confess that half of what I understood about who I am was done in a therapist's office when I first came out to Marcy 5 years ago, but the other half happened while I was writing it. I didn't ever sew the events together and stare at them. Like, I had no idea that I was using my passion for cooking as a way of working through gender dysphoria. I just never thought that, But when I saw it laid out in my life in a year, I went, oh, wow. So it goes all the way through the experience, and I use it also as a way of kind of confessing to Marcy for the first time things that I had to do in the recent, between coming out to her 5 years ago and here, of my own personal sped up, compressed exploration to get a handle on it. For me, I knew that there were two things. First of all, I knew that if Marcy really knew what I was asking, and I was really asking and knew what I was trying to get at, that she would give it to me because she loves me, and I know this. But secondly, that I needed to be a happy person because I committed to her forever. So, yeah. So I go all the way into those explorations, and it tracks my life to this point, so I can keep it in context and help the reader understand why each of the milestones along this last 9 months was significant.
I think one of the comment. Just story is just this profound love story. And that I just can feel what a loving, even though I just met you today, what a loving person you are, and the beautiful relationship you two have together, and how deep and profound that is, and how mature and developed that love is. And it's just such an inspiration and really so beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. But we've been told that a lot, and that's the most special thing we could possibly hear, because it really was love that kept us together and kept me in the game. Whenever I wondered what the hell was going on and how was I going to handle this and what did this really mean and what should I do now, or any of the questions that were coming up for me, all I could do was keep coming back to, but I still love this person. And I feel like I was put on this planet to learn what love really was. And for some of you who know me, you knew I had a few dress rehearsals before Scottie came along. So...
No pun very much intended, if you know Marcy.
You're a McVicker, you know better than that. So that's what I kept coming back to, and I thought I had finally really found the true love of my life. So with a challenge like this, was I going to suddenly fall behind some kind of veil and go, no, sorry, now that you've done this, I can't stay? That didn't make sense. And I really think that when love is tested and it's still there, it grows. So I just didn't see anything other to do than rise to the occasion and wow, you know, I'd been already married 3 times before this, and I have a whole new marriage without getting divorced this time.
Talk about renewing your vows.
It's just who wears the wedding dress, you know, if we renew the vows. It's good. Well, the toilet seat stays down now, so some real advantages. See, all the women are nodding.
I know, right?
Yeah. Anyone else? Any more questions?
Come on, ask questions. We're on live stream.
Lisa.
I have a question for Scottie. Any surprises in how the world responds to you as a woman, just being a woman versus being a guy? Not you personally, but you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
How the world treats you.
Well, I mean, I haven't had a chance to really look outside and just be accepted as a woman just blindly without most people, you know, because of my career, and I've got 30-something years in the career, that everybody knows my past. So I haven't been able to get a clean, what's it called, a control test of it. I have been surprised, always in a good way, by the acceptance that I am a woman. You know, there's a distinctions out there, and there's lots of trans people who are trying to describe the experience, and I don't pretend to talk for all of us. Just the ones that agree with me. That came out just about the way I wanted it. No. And that's that, maybe this is the best way to describe it. A woman asked me in San Diego, well, now that you're a woman, and she, you know, I had to kind of patiently let her question spool out. I don't even remember what she said. Oh, she said, do you have more of an appreciation about what we go through in the industry? And I said, well, first of all, I've always been a woman. I, of course, appreciate what we go through in the business all the time. And as I pointed out, I got into a position of leadership so that I wouldn't ever have to apologize to the women on my crew that I wasn't able to protect us. So I don't have to develop that appreciation. Now, did I get benefits because I was regarded as a boy? Heck yes. Yeah, I don't deny that. I did, and I played that to my advantage for a really long time. I don't have that advantage anymore. So I haven't had a chance to be surprised per se. Look forward to it.
But I would say, to add to that with the day-to-day, I've been really pleasantly surprised, because I wasn't sure what it would be like. The first day we ever stepped out of our house to go anywhere together with Scottie dressed as a woman, I wasn't sure what we would meet out in the world. But there was not a hiccup. We went out for lunch, and the waiter said, "What can I get you ladies?" And everywhere we've been, it's, "What can I get for you ladies?" or "How can I help you ladies?" So I think that's instant acceptance without a question. There isn't even a look at all. So, I think the world has accepted you. It's almost harder for people who have known Scott and are trying to wrap their arms around, what is this? What does this mean? And, I was right there along with it. That's why it took me all those years, First thing I did was ask Scottie to go see a homeopath to get a remedy, because I was sure this could be fixed.
They give you angel dust. It's awesome.
Yes, Andrea.
So I'm just wondering, you mentioned that you always felt like you were this girl. How did that manifest for you when you were younger? And then through the years when you couldn't really display it like you had?
So the question is, how did it manifest? If you always knew that you were a girl, how did that manifest?
From the earliest time, what it manifested was conflict. And I write in the book, direct, not even feedback, direct command to never, ever, ever tell anyone or display feminine behavior. Knowing that conflict was there, and knowing that I wanted to express myself in a particular way, but having to change whatever I'm going to have to, part of it worked. I have to use a baseball metaphor here. But when you're throwing a baseball, at the last minute, you turn it into a curveball or a screwball. Okay? So I was doing that with everything. Everything I said, every way I moved. I was doing two things: making sure that I performed appropriately, and secondly, that I didn't out myself. So I developed all kinds of stuff. Now, that conflict started to grow into a real internal muscle flexing. So my inner core could repel bullets right now. But it was really about the conflict of it. It was my natural inclination to do something that felt natural and it didn't feel feminine. But I had to use that same power to contain and make it appear masculine. So that's when I started to wrap my head around and go, well, wait a minute. The affected behavior here is the masculine one. The feminine is natural. It's so natural it doesn't have a name as feminine. Everything that's bolted onto that is masculine. So that's the other. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. I also think one of the things that turned me, and I think is one of the most important messages that can be given in this circumstance, is because I remember saying to Scottie at some point early on, how could you possibly want to be a woman? It is not pretty over here. This is not something you would wish for. Until I realized it wasn't something that was wished for. This wasn't it's not that Scottie wanted to be a woman. She was a woman at birth. That's who she knew she was, not felt she was, thought she was, knew she was. So once I realized that, it wasn't a matter of choice. In fact, the choice was to pretend to be a boy because it wasn't safe to be the girl that she really was. And I will say, talk about reinforcement. I mean, I've heard some of the childhood stories of her dad saying, you run like a girl. Or you're crying like a girl, Betty Jane. Or, there would be teases and jabs that made being a girl bad. So, no wonder she hid.
I'm interested to know how your spiritual path, both the inner conflict brought, whether that played a precipitating part in beginning a spiritual search, and how your spiritual path has supported or not supported, what part it's played in you becoming you.
Well, it started off praying to God every night that I would wake up the way I was supposed to, and not happening. Then warning God that he had one last chance. I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and you can fix this. So I always had this inner conversation. As I found a spiritual path, I went through a, please take this away from me. Just take away this conflict. I can't deal with this anymore. I can't hold it up anymore. Just take the conflict away. And when the conflict grew bigger, then I realized that I needed to surrender and go the other way. There's a poster that hangs in the bathroom of my chiropractor's office. But it says that change occurs when the pain to hold on becomes greater than the pain of letting go. And that's finally what happened. And then, but looking back at it in retrospect, with a spiritual path as my guidance, it went exactly the way it was supposed to. It supported me and still continues to support me. Everybody in this room is a manifestation of that love. So, yeah.
I'm just wondering, since you were talking about, Scottie, the inner conflict you were living with for most of your life, and now, I know it's early in, but now that integration has happened, and I just wonder if you can talk, now you've got the outer stuff to deal with, right? Before, you were keeping all the outer stuff at bay, and you were dealing with the inner. Now you've got the integration, the outer stuff is good, it's all support. I just wonder if you talk what it's like for you now that you're integrated. Now you're feeling integrated. You don't have that internal conflict anymore. What is that like?
Do we need that repeated for the stream?
Yeah.
Yeah, now that you've integrated, you fought so much of your life to keep everything at bay and keep things separate. Now that you've integrated who you really are, how are you now? How does it feel now?
Well, first of all, it's an unbelievable relief. It really is. The way I described it is the past 5 years of slowly accepting that I needed to, that this wasn't going to fix itself, that I had to fix it. The process I described is that I've been tearing down firewalls, right? Really, the process wasn't an acceptance at that point anymore. It was a dismantling of all of the obstacles that I put between me and people that I love. They shared their hearts openly to me. And I shared almost all of my heart with every one of you. So I wasn't hiding all of it. I was just hiding a piece. So I don't want you to think that I was duplicitous in any way. But that's a great relief to answer your question. It's also my mentor, Gerhard, who I also write about in the book, taught me three-dimensional art. So sculpting and goldsmithing, he made our gold rings. I still will sit in his studio and sit as his apprentice. I will never give that up. But when I came out to him, his wife of 10 years now, his latest Mary, Sorry, Mayor, if you're watching. She asked, "Well, my God, how did you?" Because she knows what it's like to be in Gary's family, where everybody that comes in is an artist that studied underneath him. It's like, how were you able to go through what you were going through your entire life and still create art and still be this happy person? I thought no one ever thought I was unhappy, and I wasn't. P.S. I wasn't unhappy. I just had this thing I needed to fix, right? But Gary, without missing a beat, goes, "Yeah, wow, think of the output now." As only your mentor could, right? And he is right. I wrote this in 2 months, right? I was putting in 12 hours a day of sitting in the chair writing this book effortlessly. And creatively, everything is freer and it's opener and opener?
More open.
Except for my command of this language you call English. That's the quick answer is that it's much more relaxed and free, and I'm getting kind of, those who know me are all kind of confessing, "Wow, so glad that you're chilling out. You were intense," So I apologize, by the way. Andrew, I'm sorry.
I actually really need to say this because I'm just so blown away by the integration and the peacefulness because we were at it. I stopped going to the LA Opera because of him.
He was a
So
dick.
intense. And there was just such a fight going on that I didn't even know where it was coming from. And to see you now, I almost didn't come today. Maybe he said, I said, "I'm not going." Are you kidding? This guy drove me crazy. So I'm so glad I came. I'm so proud of you. And I'm so honored to see you in this space now. And to see you so comfortable and so much more loving. So sensitive than you were as Scott. So God bless you.
Thank you. That's great.
Well, yeah, just one note of defense is that I knew it was going on, and I apologized because I felt like hell at the time. That I wasn't ever able, I never was proud that it squeaked out around the edges of this armor that I had built, so I apologize.
Sally.
Can I add to? Should I
Sure.
come up, or-
Oh, yeah, come up.
Yeah, come on up.
Mike? You want to sit so you can?
No, that's all right. So the
Okay.
is this on? Yeah.
Is this thing on?
Is this thing on?
Is this thing on? So the thing that I didn't say that I had thought about saying, and then I don't know why it didn't come up, but
It happens.
Yeah. So I did the painting, and then I said to Mirari, "Come on, we have to go down and see her," right? And Scott, was our son's godfather. Scott and Marcy are the godparents. So I was having this dilemma, like, oh my gosh, now what? Do I have to get another godfather? Or,
This is California.
Yeah. Anyway,
You have two
could you hold
godmoms?
this for me?
Oh, sure.
I don't know why I have that in my hand. Anyway, so we went down and saw you and hung out with you, and I said, "Oh my God, she's so much more available as a woman." So for me, it was just like this incredible relief, also on this side of it, as well. And I never heard the screwball or the curveball analogy before, but I think you nailed it when you said that today. I was just like, because there was always that little edge, and I would talk to Mirari about it. I'd go, I just love Scott, but I just always feel like there's this little edge, so that edge is gone. So thank you, and thank you for being brave enough to be you. Anyway, and I also want to say, aside from painting, I do a lot of writing as well. And Scottie is a mentor for me in the writing, producing area. And I love it because she's like a woman, but with, 50 years of white male privilege underneath her belt. So I recently had to get out of a project that I wrote this very long letter to the person and said, oh, I just, here's why I can't do the project, and, da da da. And I sent it off to Scottie before, and I said, could you please just, critique this for me before I send it off to her? And she goes, cut out everything you said, just say I'm leaving, and thanks, it just wasn't a good fit for us, goodbye, right? And I was like, I can't do that. She said, no, that's what you have to do. And I said, why? And she said, Sally, when you're leaving the saloon, you don't shoot bullets over your shoulder. So, anyway, that's a great analogy for me.
Daughter of a bartender.
Yeah.
I have some of those analogies.
That's the other thing that I would like to say. Of course, we feel like there are a lot of people who are going through or about to go through or have gone through what we're going through, what Scottie's gone through. So if by telling the story and telling what it was like to have to hold on with such pain to the pretending and then the coming out, and that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, especially if it's love, we really both want to be able to help anybody who may need it. And because you mentioned our godson Sam, one of the most reassuring things that we're discovering is how young people are today. I have a very dear friend who lives back east. Her daughter just went to college, and she said, if Scottie wants to talk to my daughter, just put her in touch, because she's so pro the whole rainbow of every shape, size, and form. People come in now. They're just already there. And Sammy was the perfect example, because Scottie came out to Sally on the phone, and there was a little discussion about, well, how do I tell Sam? And I guess we'll just be direct. And so that phone call ended, and we weren't really sure. But in short order, the phone rang again, and Scottie answered the phone, and Sammy said, hi, Aunt Scottie, this is Sam.
You want me to come up?
Not yet.
You're going to have your
Not
chance.
yet, yeah.
So the young people of today are so inspiring and ahead of the game. They don't care. They protect each other. They have no prejudice. They don't even recognize it. They just go, oh, okay, you're they? Okay. Oh, you're she? Okay. It's just really inspiring to see. So I think we're in good hands for the future.
One thing also is that the LGBTQ alphabet family that we're now representing is one thing, and it's obviously dear to our hearts. But one of the best tickles that I've gotten this year is when we hear a story that we're inspiring someone that isn't, that wouldn't consider themselves part of that rainbow. And one of them is a good friend of ours, Scottie Rice. It's all the most powerful role models I have in my life were the ones most blown away by my news. And so one of the few people that Marcy talked about or talked to before this last year was Scottie. And Scottie didn't dig it at all. She didn't dig the news. She said, "You're killing me here. You're the man that I wanted out there. That I thought was you renewed my faith in men. I thought I might be able to find one of you, and I, just couldn't deal with it. But I have to tell you this story." I said, "Well, what?" She goes, "Yeah, well, after Marcy told me, I just was like spitting mad." She lives in Atlanta. I was spitting mad. I went home, and my mother wanted to know. Her mother lived with her. She's 60-ish. Shouldn't say that on a live stream.
Yeah.
Scottie's
Sorry,
young. And so her mother was living with her, and her mother said, "Well, what's going on?" She goes, "Oh my God, I just found out. This couple that I really love. You've heard me talk about Scott and Marcy all the time. Well, I just found out some news, and I can't believe it." And told her all about me. And her mother said, "Wow. Can you imagine how painful it must have been to live for 50 years in the wrong body? And Scottie said to me, "So thank you for showing me a side of my mother that I never, ever saw." Yeah. It blew her away.
Do you want to bring Sam?
So are there any other questions? If you don't have any questions, or if you have a question you want to talk about when we sign books, there'll be an opportunity for that. So don't feel like you have to sign. But if there's anybody who wants to say anything more publicly. Mac?
Question actually is for Marcy. Scottie, you made a choice to come out. You didn't have a choice. And so that, at least for me, would bring up enormous resentment because I would say, this is not what I signed up for. So I want to know, how did you deal with your resentment if you had it?
Thank you, Mac. The question was for me, and if I had resentment, because Scottie had a choice, I didn't have a choice. So how did I deal with resentment?
We'll get back to choice later, but I think we get the spirit of your question.
Well, first, a little aside. You mentioned the LGBTQ community, and I feel like that's lacking. As many initials as there are in that list, I'm going to push for adding a D, which stands for default, for people like me who get brought into that world completely by surprise and without planning. Resentment. You know what? I was like a soap opera for the first couple months, even years. I would hear phrases come up that might as well have been on General Hospital about, how can you do this to me? You're not the man I married. The cliche lines. And in a way, I think that almost was good because it kind of shocked me out of, how shallow do you want to be here? And again, I think the key was what I said before. When I realized that it wasn't a choice for Scottie, that she actually had been pretending all that time to be a guy, and partly for me, to keep me happy, to not be the knight that fell off the horse, I realized what a sacrifice she had made for me, besides nursing me through amazing health challenges as well. So the resentment just kept melting back into love and understanding. Sudama.
I just wanted to make a general comment, and I think that your mission, which is to support people who may be facing issues like this, is much broader than my view. Because all of us are striving to become authentic. And we all have our pretenses somewhere within us, or that we're working to free ourselves from those pretenses so that we really can be who we really are. That divine love that we want to share with them. And for me, I'm going to take a lot of what was said today and do some real personal contemplation about whether or not there are certain doors that maybe I haven't fully opened, so that I can embrace whoever I love in this world fully.
Thank you, Sudama. We're finding that, and thank you. There are so many people who have talked about authenticity in that very way. Like, okay, I may not be going through what you guys are going through, but the exact thing you said, I'm seeing things in my life that this can help me look more deeply into and see where maybe I'm wearing armor or not fully giving. So thank you. We hope so too. I mean, since it is also a love story, if it's can be inspiring to people who want to have or keep love in their life, then we really feel like we've done even more than what we set out to do. Thank you.
Shakti, you have a question?
I actually had a comment, but surprisingly, what I was going to say was very similar to what you just said, Sudama, which is I think that all of the places where there are boundaries about who we are, whether it's race, gender, class, whatever it might be, that when there's a falling away of understanding that yields to or surrenders to the love that is available and present, because the truth is, I was talking to Marcy a little bit earlier, is that, you know, Rick and I have been married for a very long time. And we say things like, I really know you. But the truth of the matter is we don't. We know our habits, we know, you know, many things that are on the surface, but deep down inside, there's so many parts of me I don't even know. Mm-hmm. And so what does it mean to really be welcome and open to what's possible for me as a human being? And I think that I really respect and honor who you both are in providing that kind of platform for people to be able to explore much more deeply about how we can be in relationship with one another so that we all belong within the circle of humanity.
Yeah, yeah. It's been interesting that the lines have made now the necessity to erase them. They've just got, we cannot keep pointing. I'm sort of excited that there's so many places to point at now. You know, you could be racist or sexist or against trans or whatever, and pretty soon you're going to lose fingers to point. So I'm just hoping that means they have to go. Right. We can't let the lines be the reason. Thank you for saying that. And we expect you two, though, to get back to us and share what you discover about each other. Yeah, there's agreement behind the camera. I just want you to
Well, I just wanted to make one comment, too. First, just to echo what they said, it's just so beautiful. The love story is beautiful. What you guys are doing is beautiful. I just feel like you are going to be spokespeople for this. And on a quick side note, Scottie already knows this. I felt really blessed because I was given 2 years advance notice, not this way, but my colleague, when I worked at Outdoors TV Network, who I traveled Europe with, suddenly I went to meet him. He lives in Quebec, and his hair was longer, and his nails, and I didn't know, he didn't say anything, and a month later he came out on Facebook, and he had made the change. And he's married, and has 2 children, and it was the same acceptance. And you know, their marriage is doing wonderful, and I called her about 6 months before I found out about you, and she said, hold on, I'm going across the border. And I said, she worked in television as an engineer. Wow. I said, well, okay. And then she called me back a few minutes later, was laughing. I said, well, why are you laughing? She goes, oh, I was just going across the border as a border check. I said, what do you mean? Because I know she comes from Canada. She said, oh, I'm driving a tractor trailer. She goes, I can't get a job in television, so I'm driving a semi. I got my license. And she goes, you know what's interesting is all the, I said, well, how are they dealing with that, the trucking industry? She said, actually, all the truck drivers are way better about it than the people in
television.
Like you were saying with all the Navy SEALs. So anyway, I only brought up this story because I just think it's beautiful. It is happening more and more, and they need some more spokespeople, and I think mutually.
Thank you,
So
thank you. Tell Ellen.
Well, I think she'll find out.
We hope so.
Well, before we conclude, I just want to take one last opportunity to tell you all how much we love you and how special it is to end this first leg of whatever it is that we're doing in your loving arms. Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Thank you. Do you want to introduce me?
Marcy and I would like to now bring our godson Sam up here. When Sally kept asking me, well, what do you want to do? I said, I want to do something, a holiday party. It's the week before Christmas. I haven't had a chance to play Christmas because we're running around. I want to have some Christmas. She goes, well, what does that mean? I go, well, you know, there should be singing and that sort of thing. And she goes, like Sam? And I go, Sam. Let's end with Sam. So Sam is... Sam is going to do as we say in television. He's going to sing us out. So goodbye to the live stream. Thank you for joining us. And we're going to let Sam take the limelight here and wish you all a Merry Christmas.
Stay for treats and convo, though.
Thank you. I just want to say this has been quite an enlightening experience, not only for me, but for all of us, to really know the true Scottie. And I just want to say thank you for writing this book to help enlighten us all. Thank you so much. Now for the Christmas song. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. From now on our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on our troubles will be miles away. Here we are as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are near to us, gather near to us once more. Through the years, we all will be together, if the fates allow, and indeed they have. Hang a shining star upon the highest bough, and have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You have all been a wonderful audience. And well, my mother has made some shortbread cookies for all of you from her, which is a recipe that came through the generation of her grandmother from Scotland, Helen Meikle.